quite miraculous, really, through the gift and power of God. We have a lot of suggestions about how it was done. We know that they had a table like this. We know they had the golden plates covered usually, and Joseph used these the Urim and Thummim, seer stones in the hat, and it was easier for him to see the light when he'd take that position.
I have faith that the Constitution will be saved as prophesied by Joseph Smith. But it will not be saved in Washington.
Tithing will keep your name enrolled among the people of God and protect you in the day of vengeance and burning.
Today, I have felt prompted to speak of the importance of preparation for a future event of supreme importance to each of us, the second coming of the Lord. The Scriptures are rich in references to the second coming, an event eagerly awaited by the righteous and dreaded or denied by the wicked. The faithful of all ages have pondered the sequence and meaning of the many events prophesied to precede and follow this hinge point of history. Four matters are indisputable to Latter-day Saints. One, the Savior will return to the earth in power and great glory to reign personally during a millennium of righteousness and peace. Two, at the time of his coming, there will be a destruction of the wicked and a resurrection of the righteous. Three, no one knows the time of his coming. But four, the faithful are taught to study the signs of it and to be prepared for it. While we are powerless to alter the fact of the second coming and unable to know its exact time,
Travis Wayne Goodsall. With over 8.8K plus videos over the whole latter days that are now over with, I do not have the time to repeat all the 8.8K plus videos for you guys. Can't do it. Obviously. YouTube tells me you can't even endure a 9-minute video of mine, let alone the hours-long videos of mine. So, we'll start with the scripture and then give you the quick as possible summary. Get it on. Today was the day for the wounding in my hands and my feet. Tragedy struck. Tragedy. Tragedy. Section 10, Doctrine and Covenants. After what I just caused, saving all of your lives, for which you never thanked me on Groundhog Day, this has a whole new understanding for me now. It's amazing what fruit can do rather than just the seed. This was 1829. Bruce R. McConkie maliciously lied and put the summer of 1828. So this is about the 116 pages. that had to be rewritten, and then continue on to write the rest of the Book of Mormon if you think it's literal history. Behold, I say unto you, that because you delivered up those writings which you had power given unto you to translate by the means of the Urim and Thummim. I do not have time to explain this to those who are not following and who are still clueless because you didn't bother to produce the results of the Word. I studied, you didn't. Just accept that what you are about to hear will not fit your faith bubbles. Into the hands of a wicked man. You have lost them. This was for a whole year. Summer of 1828. Now it's the summer of 1829. A whole year went by. You have lost your gift at the same time. Your mind became darkened. Nevertheless, it is now restored unto you again. When you find out which month it was, you go, oh wow, yeah, the church has been lying about us. It's a faster amount of time to translate by the gift and power of God the whole Book of Mormon. Church was being lenient and expanding upon the time frame he used. Therefore, see that you are faithful and continue on unto finishing. Somebody finished the 116 pages rewriting it. So now Joseph is going to start from there, finishing the remainder of the work of translation as you have begun. Words, they have meanings. Don't change the definitions. Don't change the interpretations. Skipping to verse 6. Behold, they have sought to destroy you. Yea, even the man in whom you have trusted has sought to destroy you. Dallin H. Oaks' uncle. No, Travis, it's the first uncle. Uncle. Right, Tart of Dyskinesia Man. For this cause, I said that he is a wicked man. Thus, Mormons who have sought to destroy me, the Church of Jesus Christ who has sought to destroy me, are wicked. Real simple. Right here in Scripture. It's amazing. For they have sought to take away the things wherewith you have been entrusted. Yeah, ever since I came out with Paleo-Hebrew decipherment, a whole bunch of wicked Mormons with whom I... Get me started. Don't have time. And he has also sought to destroy your gift. Because you have delivered the writings into his hands, behold, wicked men have taken them from you. Therefore, you have delivered them up, yea, that which was sacred unto wickedness. See, nobody knew about this. Just Martin Harris. Or was it? And behold, Satan hath put it into their hearts to alter the words which you have caused to be written. You have never thanked me. Every Groundhog Day. Never thanked me. But you haven't translated and caused to be written. On this wise the devil sought to lay a cunning plan that he may destroy this work. Joseph Smith Sr. is brilliant. Brilliant. They were intending to catch him in a lie. So, anybody remember Trump in the first term? There was a whole bunch of leaks, and the press jumped all over it, and then Trump came out and said, no, I'm not. I'm not going to do that. Who told you that? Are there fake news reports going out about me? I'm not going to do that. Who said I'm going to do that? That's that. Right there in the Book of Mormon. Right there. Right there. Oops. Joseph Smith, in writing the introduction of the Book of Mormon, put that it is written by way of commandment and also by the spirit of prophecy and of revelation. Joseph Smith is a prophet and a revelator, among other things. So what then makes Joseph Smith a prophet? Give you a hint, it's not because it's a title. It's a prediction of the future. The Book of Mormon, written by the spirit of predicting the future. The Book of Mormon came out, published 1829, with the church in 6th of April, 1830, as a prophecy of the future from that point now. Just like Joseph Smith started the whole translation over right then in the summer of 1829. Just a month or so before it was published. Because you still need months to get it published. It doesn't get published in a day. So it's even less time. So Revelation. What makes Joseph Smith a revelator? Now the church and Christianity have botched the translation and interpretation and definition so that you don't know. And you never bothered to read the Book of Mormon to know what a revelator is. Mormon, chapter 8, verse 33. The Book of Mormon does this stunt all over, correcting the errors of the Christians with the Bible, mostly the New Testament, mostly. Look unto the Book of Mormon revelations of God. For behold, the time cometh at that day when all these things, predictions of the future, must be fulfilled. So there are dates, times, days and hours given to us in the Book of Mormon for the future predictions in the Book of Mormon. So the quick, easy, obvious one that millions of people know all around the world. Revelation chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. I'm the only one who figured out that verse 5 needs to be moved to verse 3, and then, oh, duh. Joseph Smith translation did it too. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, and we should use the Joseph Smith translation version. There appeared a great sign in heaven. That's how we get our calendars. That's how we get our clocks. That's how we have seasons. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. In the likeness of things on the earth. Predictions of the future. The whole Bible, written by Jews, is also prophecy and revelation, not literal history of Jesus, of Christianity? No, duh. And so Virgo, with the sun, so the middle of September to the middle of October, which back in the time when this was written was the middle of August to the middle of September. He knew that the earth would go through a rotating alteration in the future date that he gives you. Those Jews, using science, and the moon, 29.4 days, under her feet, upon her head, Leo, with an additional 3 planets with the 9 designated for Leo. And she's pregnant with Jupiter. And so what is added from the move, Jupiter is born to rule all nations with the Book of Mormon. Don't have time to explain to you, but 103 verse 15 through 18. Focus on 16. The Jewish Christ. Guess who Joseph Smith calls him? And the child was caught up unto God and to his throne. So, 23rd September 2017. Verse 7, Joseph Smith interprets the sign with the likeness of things on the earth of the prophecy. The church is the woman, Joseph's church, not the Christian church, not Islam, not even the Jews. The Jews were not writing about the Jews. The Jews were writing about Mormons of Joseph Smith. Messiah ben Joseph, 2 Nephi chapter 3. And so, Jupiter is section 103, verse 16, Mormons. Right there. It is not Jesus. You chose wrong. You didn't study. You did not produce the fruits of study. You're stuck on a spiritual witness feeling of the seeds that you have gathered up for yourselves, refusing to plant them and produce the results. So you lie and deny the truth. 9/11, 1826. Book of Mormon was born. Canandaigua, New York. Joseph Smith Sr., the Master Mason of the Lodge. Don't think you know better because you heard something. You don't have time to repeat everything. Mormons are on a tear, destroying everything, destroying the records. Hey, just like that wicked people who tried to destroy the Book of Mormon and change the dates. Just so that you knew, in case you didn't know. God, you didn't know. I am sore. Right at the very beginning of the Book of Mormon, that Joseph Smith says is a prediction of the future and has days and hour date times. You look at verses 8 through 10. There it is, Revelation chapter 12. From the Joseph Smith translation, verses 1 to 3. Right there. 23rd September, 2017. Thus, the first year of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, 2017. Only they would have told us where in the world this would be taking place. I wonder where the Book of Mormon is telling us where the predictions of the future are going to be taking place. Stay away from Article of Faith number 10. So now do you see what Joseph Smith Sr. is telling Jr. in section 10? He had to rewrite the 116 pages that were originally written by William Morgan of the threat, the whole plot to destroy America. It was very detailed, very graphic, very well organized with backup plans. And that's what Joseph Smith Sr. is warning Joseph about, his junior about, is that because Martin Harris stole the copy of the copy, that they could have continued and put it in, but they're going to know that the Book of Mormon knows. And so they had to rewrite it and do away with the Freemasonry focus to turn it back into a Jewish Kabbalah practice focus, to try to cover it up from the original, so that it still is connected to the Bible, in which this enemy was using to plan and coordinate their future attack on America and thus the world. Albert Pike. Very detailed, very graphic. And William Morgan got a hold of it. And so he found Joseph Smith Sr.'s lodge to assist him with this book, and then they found out, and they threatened him by locking him up to destroy the work, to prevent him from writing it. And then they were going to kill him, just like they did to Joseph Smith Jr. The enemy found out. Senior knew they would eventually find out. That's why it's written in prophecy code with Revelation code dating, so that it's not obvious to the basic reader. You have to actually study the sciences to figure all this out. Thus, why the church always used to tell the early saints, and me as the first fruits of scripture-oriented study, for which was immediately shut down when the first sprouts started to appear. Oh crap, this is going bad. Quick, go back to spiritual witness feelings. Quick! Can't let them know the truth. So yes, those of you who are Expo Nevermos and know about the rock in a hat, and you think therefore the Book of Mormon is a fraud, yeah, you're not getting it. The church purposely put a stop to that with September 6th immediately, because if they kept on going, they would have figured it out. So instead, the church let everybody believe they're just protecting Joseph Smith from being called a witch. Don't have time to explain. And so, rescuing William Morgan, Sr. is responsible for getting the book published. And because of what Martin Harris did, this then gave rise to, instead of just publishing the book for anybody who wants to buy it, it now was necessary to have a religious organization by which to hand out the Book of Mormon. To have a gathering at the beginning of those who are preparing for the latter days, thus Latter-day Saints, because of the enemy that is going to be a threat, and so we need the armies of Israel to stop it. And instead, the armies of Israel were turncoats. The enemy. Brigham Young, Heber C. Kimball, with all of their forgeries. And so because Brigham Young murdered Joseph Smith and turned everything into literal history with Christian interpretation, denying prophecy, denying revelation, denying seership, denying translator, the plot still could go on. Still early enough to keep it going. So, to briefly go over with you, Joseph Smith has numerous stuff about this. But Thomas B. Marsh is a secondary witness. They threat the enemy, calling themselves Danites, true Mormons. Threatened Thomas B. Marsh to join their merry little band of robbers, and murderers, and wife swappers. As Thomas B. Marsh witnessed these crimes that they were committing, they weren't being attacked by the neighbors, as the Danites claimed. These terrorists lied to claim to be the victims. They had gotten themselves into position as sleeper cells and then struck, and then claimed they were the victims. They claimed the religion card to get away with their abominations. And this is where we first see how they are screwing up the economy of Zion by hoarding money, claiming it's for Jesus' second coming and not for the poor. And and thus in the latter days would be the economy of Zion, which is not a monetary system of economy. Nonetheless, they told Thomas B. Marsh, "We intend on overtaking the United States of America and ultimately the world." Their plan. In 1838, because of the missing manuscript pages, everybody assumed, the enemy assumed, that it was okay to proceed with their graphic, detailed plot with backup plans. That there was no threat to them. No one was going to dare to molest or make them afraid. And so there were those who went to the south, there were those who went over to England, etc. After 9/11, 1826's Saving America by Joseph Smith Sr. Brigham Young, after committing a whole bunch of abominations in the Nauvoo Temple in 1846, including crowning himself king, mocking the Jewish religion of Joseph Smith, as he was called the Mormon Moses, for fleeing the country, and then later requiring the need of the Tear converts to come join him. Because notice, none of the converts in Europe or other places in the United States and Canada went with Sidney Rigdon, James Strang, or anybody else. They just assumed, oh, Joseph is dead, okay, church is over. Brigham Young took his loyalists, Danites, with him to this valley, along with the sex slave women that he had sealed himself to and had them sealed to Joseph Smith in 1846 of January in the undedicated Nauvoo Temple, along with the ledger that he called the Book of the Law. So, 1847, we celebrate this terrorist event in Utah. We just did the previous month. Didn't celebrate or didn't acknowledge the assassination of Joseph. Just me, my yearly video. The very next year, Mexico seceded. And the United States, in Congress, in 1850, then designated the territory that Brigham Young was occupying after murdering the natives, the territory of Utah, phonetically the same as Judah. Prophecy getting fulfilled with nobody knowing it. Brilliant. And so in February 4th, and then approved on the 6th by Brigham Young, governor of the territory of Utah, they had section 47. This is an Illuminati number with the inverted pentagram of the devil, Lucifer, wicked man. This ordinance is hereby declared to be a public ordinance and shall be in force from and after its passage. Jedediah M. Grant, Speaker of the House of Representatives. Heber C. Kimball, Speaker of the Senate. Approved February 6, 1851, Brigham Young, governor. Thomas Bullock, clerk. An ordinance incorporating, pay attention, Mormons, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, passed February 4th, 1851, as Mormons were now coming to the valley because they were poor. So the Perpetual Immigration Fund was incorporated in 1849 to human and sex traffic the poor Mormons. So that's why Brigham Young didn't care if they died in the winter storms. Although he did want the population, just like the 2 billion of the terrorist group on the earth today that got shut down. You're welcome. You never thanked me on Groundhog Day. Section 1. We're not done. Be it ordained by the General Assembly. It's supposed to be the territory of Utah. Governor Brigham Young of the territory of Utah. Be it ordained by the General Assembly of the state of Deseret. He knows he's the governor of the territory of Utah. He knows it's the territory of Utah. The United States told him and made him governor. He knows, and yet he's still forming a coup. Pioneer days, my ass. And so what Mormons are not told growing up in this church is that in 1887, the Edmunds-Tucker Act shut down that criminal operation. They point out that incorporation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, even though they changed it to the territory of Utah in April, after getting caught, is all null and void. Not a legitimate religion. The church ceased to exist as a religion. Tithing was exposed as a criminal organization. And the Perpetual Immigration Fund was also dissolved because of the human and sex slave trafficking, and then granting citizenship for anybody who does pay it off. The gold card. 5 million, and you become a citizen. So you see where people are influencing Trump after the pattern of the Danites. Yeah, they're going to murder him just like they murdered Joseph. If they can't get him locked up to shut him up. I warned, he may have listened. You never thanked me. Groundhog Days. The only reason why we still have Section 119 in our Doctrine and Covenants is because Brigham Young framed and blamed Joseph for it. The Congress, back in those days, weren't smart enough to investigate forged documents to identify that Joseph Smith did not write it. And so, John Taylor's revelations on polygamy were rejected. But Brigham Young, wanting to make sure that polygamy got secured, he made sure the year before he died to put in the forged document of section 132 for polygamy, framing and blaming Joseph. Emma is a wicked woman. She's not an elect lady. She fell. She's a daughter of perdition. And so you woman, can't let you know that there are others. Got to do them on different days. The ones that are married to us, yeah, they can all know. They have to. The church is not a church. It is a criminal terrorist operation. All of the priesthood that you think you have is gone. Those of you who have had to force the fulfillment of your patriarchal blessing, that's why. All of the spiritual witness feelings you've had, oh crap, you chose wrong. And you only had a 50-50 chance and you still chose wrong. You didn't study. This is complete, utter chaos that the church put you in. Because in 1923, after this leak, Heber J. Grant incorporated a criminal operation for the dissolved religion. Religion doesn't exist. The church leaders didn't bother to tell the Mormons. They let the Mormons believe that religion still existed, that it was not shut down by the United States of America with the Edmunds-Tucker Act. And they never bothered to reincorporate it. But Heber J. Grant incorporated a corporation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which does not exist. See, even Warren Jeffs was smarter than Heber J. Grant. He had both a religion and a corporation for the religion. So when he got arrested, he gave up the corporate powers, not the religious powers. So he's still the prophet to all of the FLDS. He just has somebody else in charge of the corporation. And I think he's tried to get it back. But I don't know, he's in prison. Jesus didn't come and free him. So, with that fraud, with all of your marriages, oh, you are all bastards of bastards of bastards of bastards. We are all bastards because our parents are bastards. Bastards are we. Bastards are we. Surprise! You're a bastard! Theme song in the description below. You're a bastard! Here come the comedy relief. Hopefully at the halftime show. And the church threatened you all this time. Do not have any sexual relations. No thoughts, no feelings, no touching. Not even of yourself. Until you are sealed in the temple. And they've murdered people. They've locked them up. Tortured people. Condemned them. Excommunicate them. And yet, no different than a regular Mormon. No different. No different. This is how evil they are. So, this is their plot that they told Thomas B. Marsh in the encoding of the Bible. Section 116 from the Joseph Smith Papers is obviously a fraud when you know and understand that ink fades in about 40 years. So sure enough, the ink from the book of paper that they continued from, there wasn't a book yet, just papers, they continued writing with fresh ink on faded ink, which means it was almost 40 years after 1838, when they claimed that Section 116 was written. So 40 plus 1838 is 1878. Brigham Young died 1877, Section 116 came out 1876. Ta-da! Science! Forensic fundamentalism. The Way to Perfection, Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. I'd been searching for this Mormon myth to find out what it actually said. I found it. And the church was so pissed that that's why I have, how can I find lasting happiness? There with my little finger at the bottom holding up the card to the camera. So I took a cutout of it to let you know that that was the death threat I received for finding this book. I watched as the security service, Metro Security, hired by the church for the Taylorsville Temple, was also hired to stalk me. Just like the Mormon woman here in Utah who was stalking the one singer guy, I can't remember his name. He took a photo with a missionary who gave him a Book of Mormon at the airport here in Salt Lake City, and he gave the sign of the devil in the photo. And so now Mormon girls want to have his baby, the spawn of Satan. Adam Andai Amen. I want to have the spawn of Satan. You didn't learn from Lori Vallow, did you? Or the 8 passengers who was brainwashed by the psychologist to torture kids. Nobody ever learns. Nazis thanking their American liberators to turn America into Nazism, to thank us. Thank you for freeing us, with my poor German accent. It sounded more Hispanic. We will turn America into Nazi Germany to thank you and cause a Holocaust and blame Jesus for it. Yeah. Page 291, under Gathering at Adam-on-Diamond by Voice of the Priesthood, exposing Section 116 as a fraud. Adam-on-Diamond was not Joseph Smith's. This is the plot. From Daniel, referred to as the Ancient of Days, as the coding that the Danites caught on. Joseph knew the Book of Daniel was used by the enemy, and William Morgan knew. That's why Adam-on-Diamond was the secret headquarters of the Danites in 1838 for the Mormon War that Thomas B. Marsh exposed. And that both Hinckley and Monson got up at the pulpit of conference to lie to Mormons about it, to frame the wives, and threaten Mormons to obey. There will be a transfer of government authority. Can anybody say coup? From the usurper and impostor Lucifer. Lucifer got a ticket to Adam-on-Diamond. Lucifer, you're invited to Adam-on-Diamond. Please notify us if there will be a +1. Like Gordon B. Hinckley in my dream, as he had a +1, and I just happened to have 2 tickets with no +1. And he transferred authority to me, giving me the key card to his office, number 77, next door to number 88. Dream, not literal history. To the rightful King, Jesus Christ. And so, if this is really a coup plot, using religion as a front for their criminal operations of terrorism, we would expect to see something in here about a secret combination. Shh, don't tell. Fair enough. When this gathering is held, the world will not know of it. The members of the church at large will not know of it. The world cannot know of it. The saints cannot know of it. But it is preparatory to the coming in the mushroom clouds of glory of Jesus. Armageddon. 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 And so, we probably should go to Revelation 16 first. I thought I wrote that down. There it is. With Zechariah. (13 to 16). I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs. So obviously literal history. Come out of the mouths of the dragon and of the beast and of the false prophet. Which religion has prophets? Which religion has false prophets? Oh, only one. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth, listen to this, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world. Under Nelson, you have seen this in my church news videos if you watched. Nelson is doing this as the false prophet. He was going to the kings of the earth, paying them through business deals or religious deals or charity to fund terrorism. Right here. Busted, Nelson. Baby name meaning. Behold, I come as a thief, gathering them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his underwear, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. With the Freemasonic square and compass of the Salt Lake City LDS Lodge. You didn't think he gave it up, did you? He gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Har Megiddo. mountains of Megiddo. And in the valley was Armageddon 1. The valley was Armageddon 1. This is where I told you repeatedly about David Moses III of the 18th dynasty of Egypt. Armageddon 1 against the Hittites in the valley of Armageddon, the mountains of Megiddo. And in the midst of the war, he put his foot on the Mount of Olives of the little hamlet called Salem by the people that had been living there for at least 50 to 100 plus years. The first Jews of Jerusalem who were Egyptian. After that visit by their King of Kings and Lord of Lords, their great high priest, Melchizedek, they then would go on to build the first temple of Jerusalem and the palace for the tributary kings, of which they are all the kings of Salem. In the Hebrew tongue, paleo, that is, would be peace for Salem with the suffix determinative of the N for king. King of peace. King of Salem. Solomon. And Babylon were the first nation to conquer and destroy the temple on 9th Ave and hold them hostage. And look, what do you know? And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before God. The fall of Babylon. See what the Jewish author is talking about? He's referring to the past to use for the future prophecies. Christians then went and botched this, as did the Illuminati of Brigham Young and the Confederates and Russia and Nazi Germany and the KKK. Everywhere where you see an inversion taking place in the symbolism, there you find the wicked men, founded of the devil. So Zechariah 14. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, having everybody believe that Jerusalem is going to rebuild the temple. And thus they have to occupy the land again. See how everybody set this up in motion as Christian? They knew. They know what's coming because the enemy is using it. The city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished. Hey, just like those Danites. Half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations. I told you Trump was Jesus. Didn't believe me. As when he fought in the day of battle, referring to King David Moses. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof. A valley. East towards the west. And there shall be a very great valley, the valley between Har Megiddo. Half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. And ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, ye shall flee like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. They didn't footnote this, so you don't know why I'm smiling. And I don't know if you would even catch it. Isaiah chapter 6. Remember that date? It's right there at the beginning of the Book of Mormon. Pay attention to this. Chapter 6, verse 1. Remember God sitting on his throne. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. So what do you know? Here in chapter 7, verses 13 and 14, and he said, Hear ye now, O house of David. Moses. Is it a small thing for you to weary men, but will you weary my God also? Therefore the Lord shall give you the dates of the latter days. Behold, Virgo shall conceive Jupiter, and bear Jupiter, and shall call his name the sun god at noonday of the ancient Egyptians, under King David Moses III, the great high priest of the Amen priesthood. Dun 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 dun. Dallin H. Oaks. God leaked during the Exodus year at the beginning. Oh, I was at the top of my game those days. Wasn't a test run for me. Talking to mission presidents who are brand new, going out into the mission field. Las Vegas, Nevada, March 14th, 2020 on Saturday. President Markey going to Australia with his wife was there in attendance and violated Oakes' #1 law. Do not record me. Because this is a secret combination. This is the coup. This is the mass murder. This is the theft of the Danites. And he says, quote, "This is not the end of the world," referring to in chiasmus Jesus' second coming in the mushroom clouds of glory. It's merely a test, a trial run. The church is in charge of it. And so now we know a major city yet to be determined in Russia was not for a temple. It was to take down Ukraine. It's the Ukrainian temple that was going to be transferred into the Russian temple. And thus, using the Bible in Ezekiel 38, from Bruce R. McConkey's chapter heading, the battle of Russia and Ukraine against Israel shall usher in the second coming. Putin failed. Yes, he didn't even do it until February 24th, you bastard. That's when I served the church in 2020. Lord will come amid war and pestilence. All men shall shake at his presence. Trump. The church funded Russia, not just to put Trump in. Yes, the church was working with Obama to get Trump into office. And now Trump wants to punish him. You tried to coup the government for me. This is allowed to continue, Obama is going to be assassinated on live Trump TV, guys. So sure enough, the Mormon, who is the Mormon Christ, showed up on the 23rd of September 2017, just as Zedekiah was put into office in 2017. And this is because Mitt Romney lost. And this, we see that the church was trying to go against their own 200-year-old plot to get Mitt Romney in so that it's his second term for when the actual event occurred. That it wasn't going to be a test run with Mitt Romney. So that all the world will hate and despise Mitt Romney and, by extension, hate Mormons. Social media would be all about mocking Mormons and underwear and racism and sexism and bigotry, just attacking Mormons to the point where Mormons fear and tremble about their faith bubble possibly bursting. Attest by Heber C. Kimball. But Romney lost. And so that's part of why 2020 was a test run. Because then there's this other guy who sued and exposed it in public documents through the courts. The church is the terrorists. They're going to coup the government. They're going to mass murder people and steal money. Ta-da! It's now a matter of public record as fact. Church is the enemy. There is no doubt anymore. It happened. They got busted. That's why they wanted me murdered, for finding the plot from Joseph Fielding Smith Sr. The way to perfection. And so, nobody's listening to me. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. Dogs and cats are already living together. So, 2020 was when the church was funding Chinese terrorism. That one kind of worked. And they tried to assassinate Trump through that process. That one almost worked. Just like they murdered Joseph Smith. Just like they locked up Joseph Smith constantly to get him out of the way. Likewise to Trump. 2 impeachments, but no convictions, because it was just a test run. They might need him for 2024 and 2025. Sure enough. Thus why the court cases were delayed on purpose to be dropped. Okay, we're dropping it, but you got to do us a favor, though. So then Russia attacked Ukraine, and then the church in the Biden administration began bribing and doing business deals and doing charity to Islam all around the world. And they got an audience with those who fund terrorism. So in 2022, as the church also was able to get the Disrespect for Marriage Act passed, as Democrats even cheered for that, fooling their base into believing that it was going to be okay. Everything's great now. We signed an act into law. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. Move along. Church is true. It was the church's exemption clause that got it passed. The sabotaging of it. Mitt Romney's final thing before he bailed. After almost dying, which he was going to be assassinated if he became president. Because 3 Nephi chapter 7. Remember? There's a whole bunch of stuff you're not getting caught up on. And so the squad takes Congress by storm. The progressive movement rises of Islam. And then the next year, Albert Pike, October 7th. The whole world betrayed Israel. The whole world condemned Israel for what Islam was doing. Islam woke up as the sleeper cells that they had been, getting themselves positioned all over the world, claiming they were victims of religious persecution of Islam, as they still had the women wear the symbolism of the sexual abuse of Islam. Even in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, where the Mormons converted them so that they can work and get Bishop's storehouse food, not the Lord's money. They have to work for the church so that they pay tithing to the Lord. As a money laundering operation of criminal operations. And getting not married in the temples as bastards. Oh, God. And so, yeah, protests rise up. The press didn't know how to do their job anymore. They were just believing whatever Islam told them to. Aid organizations came to the defense of the terrorists. World leaders condemned Israel. How dare you defend your existence in a land that was originally yours? And with Trump, the world pressure against Israel intensified. France, UK, and Canada all threatened Israel to declare Palestine a state to be recognized. And thus, those nations will be funding Islamic terrorism, which they've had in their lands. Now they're going to fund it. The plot of Islam that Albert Pike said was going to happen, because it was all planned and orchestrated. Even Islam got suckered into it. Okay? So, more recent backstory items. Last week, notified Trump that I am the one that everybody should be consulting on whenever there's anything going on in the Middle East. Even if it's Christians, Jews, Islam, people need to come to me. Because I was born and raised in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because I am the first fruits of the seminary scripture-oriented studying that was a failed program. We need to terminate all of those kids. Round them up. I told them, as Trump had made the comment, that he recognized that Islam just wants to die. So I explained, yeah, their religion, aka terrorism. Muhammad, in forming Islam, did that same thing that the Danites did, that is in the scriptures about Armageddon. They went town to town, village to village, with their missionaries, with the sword, not the word, though the word is Quran, as Muhammad claims to be Moses, the latter-day Moses, going to the top of the mountain, receiving from Allah the Quran, calling himself the prophet. False prophet, run the test. And so, convert or die. The missionaries murdered people who did not convert, burned down their village, ravished the women, put them into the harems, and then stole all the loot for them, for Allah, not for the poor. And so they were more successful than Brigham Young, even though they were around since the 600s, acquiring, after, 1425 years, over 2 billion on the earth today, minus any of those who've been murdered recently, or killed, who were martyrs. Because just like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that in 2020 did a pamphlet saying we're just like Islam, terrorists, we're the same. Missionaries in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, if they die on their missions in the service of the Lord, because why would they do something foolish? As young boys, why? Inconceivable. They go straight to the celestial kingdom. They don't go to the highest degree of the celestial kingdom, but the celestial kingdom. So, likewise with Islam. You die during a holy war, and everything's a holy war for them. You go straight to paradise with 72 child bride virgins. Mormons only get 10. And so this false belief from the fake religion that is a terrorist organization, is so evil, just like Mormons, to brainwash their followers into believing that the afterlife is real, with no evidence. And so, literally, all Islam must be willing to die for Allah, to be sacrificed for Allah's greater will, which is always a man, not Allah. And so in this holy war against Israel, the parents and the children and the sick and the elderly did not leave. The Israelis always warned in advance, we're coming in. The first time they gave over 3 months warning, and they didn't leave. They knew Hamas was responsible. They cheered for it. They knew Hamas was holding hostages, and they protected Hamas. Funded by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. As nobody was wanting to believe the initial people who got freed, because it was just too horrific. Certainly they're lying. Can't believe the woman when she's raped. God. And yet, as time went on, the parents were on the front lines fighting Israel. So obviously they died for Allah if they didn't get captured and detained by Israel. And so Israel, in order to try to get their people back, offered upwards of 100 of Islam for just a couple or a few of the Israeli hostages. Clearly an unequal trade, especially for terrorists. But Israel was doing everything they could to prevent having to get bloody. But the news wouldn't report it correctly. And so the world leaders are trusting the news. And the world leaders are getting misinformation about what's going on. And you have Islam has sleeper cells who are now activated all over the world, protesting, demanding Israel stop defending themselves, trying to get their hostages back. As Hamas intentionally had an underground tunnel system funded by the UN. As the UN was a protection for Hamas, as the hospitals were protecting Hamas, as the refugee camps were protecting Hamas, as the aid drops were protecting Hamas, the schools protecting Hamas. Israel only went after Hamas. And every single time after an attack, the news said that Israel was evil. And then Israel would come out, yeah, we took out another leader. We found more hostages. The news won't report that part of it. So this past week, I told Trump why Islam kills themselves to abandon their children, to torture and abuse their own children to be martyrs, to get funded by aid organizations, and Greta, who's just so stupid because she skipped school. all of the aid organizations funded by the Church of Jesus Christ. Islam funded by the Church of Jesus Christ. Refusing to give aid to Israel. Refusing to demand to see the hostages. And so, told him about 9th Ave, because it's in the Book of Mormon. Islam knows it very well. They're descended from Babylon. Muhammad, a Babylonian, conquered by Persia. And so I warned him about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints too, reminding him that just as they murdered and locked up Joseph Smith, the founder, they were going to do to Trump, reminding him that they almost succeeded in 2020. That they are working with China, they are working with Russia, they are working with Islam. They are using Trump to frame and blame him, to murder him if they don't lock him up forever. Because if he gets locked up, he'll just get pardoned. Pardon himself. And so, Trump, in advance of 9th Ave on Sunday, sent a delegation to Netanyahu and a delegation to Gaza. The press was all saying, yeah, we're going in with our government leaders to find out the truth. Gonna expose Israel. Hamas also helped. I thought they were smarter than that. But I guess they thought that they would threaten. If you're going to do it to our people, we're going to do it to yours. And oops, you'd already been doing it to theirs. They released some videos. They too were starving as part of the torture of the hostages. Confirmation that there are still those hostages by Hamas, that Islam had been protecting, that the aid organizations had been protecting, that the Islamic Doctors Without Borders had been protecting, that the governments had been protecting, that the Pope had been protecting, the new Pope too. Stay in your lane, Bishop. Stay in your lane. That was just devastating. A crushing blow. Islam have now gone silent and then back into their sleeping cell mode. The news was just in shock. The world leaders were in shock. And the UN went silent. So, since October 7th, 2023, what changed after the video leaks by Hamas. The Young Turks didn't even bother to cover it. Their base are Islamic terrorists. Anna and Cenk support and defend terrorism. That was a big crushing blow for me. I really liked Anna. I like women with attitude. Reuters Reuters turned pro-Israel, but only 2 videos covered it, despite the many for Islam previously since October 7th. So Reuters repented barely. NBC, silent. MSNBC, silent. The Israeli news reported that the Red Cross had repented. And now demanded to see the hostages immediately. Whether they did or not, I don't know. What was also amusing is that Israel doesn't believe in 666. That's a Revelation thing. They gave up on that because Christians took it. And so the whole Revelation 13 about the number of the beast, 666 as a superstitious number of the devil. No, the Jews don't believe in that. And yet, they've been doing in their news, calling it day since October 7th. So they got to 665, and then they skipped and went to 667, and then 668 yesterday. 666 was 9th Ave, and they skipped it. They did the Sabbath on Sunday for the 5th, but they didn't do one for the 6th on 9th Ave. 666. To see what they were planning, like the Book of Mormon said. But because I leaked it, I stopped it. Never thanked me on Groundhog Day. Fox News. They were the only ones right about COVID from China. And they were the only ones right from the beginning of Islam attacking Israel. So yeah, they just kept going as normal. Going, see? See? We told you so. Now back to the hanging of Obama. CNN did one video for Israel. CBS did 2 favoring Israel. No pro-Islam, though. Canada Broadcasting Corporation. You need to know they are going to designate or recognize Palestine as a state in September. Trump attacked them financially for doing that. As Trump also, having heard from me, sanctioned Palestine. And so the CBC are still condemning Israel with their latest attack that they warned in advance were coming in. Still with the hostages that had video confirmation by Hamas who were holding them hostage. CBC is still anti-Jew, anti-Israel. And they're not even saying sorry. They are pissed that they are the enemy. Canada is now the enemy. BBC, they're conflicted. They're not sure what to do. They don't know how to report this now. Because the UK is going to declare Palestine, recognize it as a state in September. But as news, they got the video too. Hilarious. The Associated Press were delayed reporting the posting of the video. Very anti-Israel until they finally posted the video. And a night and day difference. Just a delayed reaction. This has got to be fake. We need to confirm first. In the meantime, Israel is evil and needs to stop. ABC News did the same thing as the Associated Press. And did minimal support for Israel. PBS, likewise, has been shut down by Trump. Defunded. Cancel cultured. They're pissed. They're trying to sue, but Trump accused them lately of lying about him. That they therefore weren't being fair and balanced, which they always have been, until they get other people as part of the show. But nonetheless, the main news was always just reporting. Until now. Now, they are exactly what Trump said that they were doing, but weren't doing, and now are doing what Trump said they were doing, but weren't doing, and now are doing. They are retaliating against Trump to botch the coverage of Israel, ignoring the video, demanding that Israel stop, and that Palestine will be recognized in September. And then finally, Kristi Noem is now ordering all states to have their own version of alligator Alcatraz. So coming soon, Gail Miller is going to develop alligator Alcatraz in Utah. So again, let me remind you of why you have never thanked me on Groundhog Day. Section 10. Satan put it in their hearts to alter the prophecies and the days and hours which are in the Book of Mormon, because you expose them. And they are going to have to go to Plan C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J with a new date now. You're welcome.